Hi guys, welcome to Flowcast, a podcast by Flowout, where we chat with successful entrepreneurs, freelancers, and other amazing professionals that are crushing it in their game. I'm Flo, and I'll be your host on this audio journey. In this week's episode, we're hosting Evans Akanno, an entrepreneur, designer leader, and founder. Evans, it's great to have you here.
Hi, Flo. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hi. So we usually start off this podcast with a question. How would your family and friends describe you?
I think they would describe me as fun, easygoing, loves to laugh, loves to spend time talking to family and friends. Yeah.
Got you. An outgoing person, is that you think a skill that helped you become successful? Are there any other skills that think contributed to your success so far?
I think one thing that has really contributed is resilience. I realized that it's important to constantly evolve and being able to adapt regardless of situations.
Where do you think that came from? Like from your upbringing? Was that like something that you always had in yourself from your experience?
I think it's from my upbringing. I kind of learned to adapt very early on. Read stories about people who have faced like really challenging situations and how they were able to manage regardless of the situations. And you kind of just pick up on that attitude over the years.
I got you. And you're also educated from Harvard, UCI. Do you still continue to educate yourself? And what are some platforms or what are some sources of knowledge that you get the education from?
So besides like structural education, like what I did at Harvard was like a course on innovation and strategy. And then UCI was a master's degree in innovation and entrepreneurship. What I think is that education is different today because whatever you want to learn is already available online. So you find that, the most education I actually do is actually on Google. Like I search for stuff, I learn on Twitter, I learn from Instagram. Like I look at an ad that is very well done, and I'm trying to learn how was this ad designed that's piqued my interest. So you find that, learning has evolved really from structural education to you having interest and curiosity and how that can be used to educate yourself.
Yeah, you talked about like how you can learn from different social media platforms and Google. Is that where you first got intrigued for design and entrepreneurship, or was it some other way?
Yes. I started design about 12, 13 years ago. And most of what I saw was either ads from like Nike, Apple. You look at these brands, you like how they are designed, right? And then you look at portfolios of designers who are like leading change in these companies. And all of that kind of inspires you. Back then it was mostly Facebook and, the few ads you get to find on Google search, if you just search for ads, and then they're like magazines and ad inserts, and you see all of these things, and it's fascinating how design can bring much more value to businesses. I think that's what really made me to pick a career in design.
Well, that's such a good insight, and I guess also an inspiration for other inspiring designers. So if you just fast forward from your beginnings to now, I want to know, how does your typical day look like?
My typical day: wake up in the morning, say my prayers. I don't do that every day though. Yeah, say your prayers, and then I get breakfast. Breakfast is super important to me. I usually have like rice and smoothie. I have smoothies every morning. I don't hit the gym yet. I think I want to start that soon. And once I'm done with like my morning rituals, I kind of just get into work, and sometimes I work for longer hours, because design it's different because it requires research. It requires you understanding why you're putting this element on this place or that. And most days I have calls with my development team, trying to help them align with the business vision, help them see how design is just one facet. Development makes design, make it function. And other times I kind of just have calls with family friends to check in with them, how they're doing, and offer advice to people on social media.
Are you a big routine guy, or usually just go with the flow, see what needs to be done on a certain day?
My days are very free, so I find that my schedule it's different every day, because when I have like meetings, those things actually are fixed times on my calendar, but the rest are very movable. So I can choose to work later in the day or work earlier. I just know what I need to do, and then the times when I get to do them is fluid.
I see. I guess that also comes from an experience. You've been a designer, entrepreneur for quite some times. I want to know, in your opinion, what are some things that people usually get wrong in those two fields?
So one thing that people get wrong about design is how long it takes for you to become really good at it. A few of them think that, it takes just a short time, but I find that the best designers out there have invested years at minimum in their craft. They've tried so many things, they've seen things fail, they've seen things that wasn't as effective as they thought it would be. But what I realize is that for every of those situations they go through, it kind of just makes them become wiser. That's if they're able to take a lesson from those experiments. So that's one thing that is a misconception, that design is just about pixels. There's a lot of engineering that goes behind, a lot of thinking, a lot of wisdom applied to make platforms simple to use. And that misconception about me is I'm a workaholic. I can work really hard, but I think I still know how to balance time for family, friends, and loved ones.
I see. And the hard work and also this balance paid off. You were recognized at Africa's Forbes 30 under 30 list. How was that experience for you?
It was really good. I think that was one of the major validations in my career. That happened in 2019, and it was really good to see that the work that is being done, is being recognized in such a huge scale. One of the things I find people who are makers is they put their head down making stuff for years, and they don't kind of think about how, this work they are putting in affects so many people's lives. But it's when you are recognized in such, stage, you get to look back and see that, this is actually a lot of impact work I've been doing over time.
You just talked about doing the work that has impact on so many people, and you've recently been working on Vizi. Can you tell our listeners about it?
Vizi is a very easy tool for creating websites. It actually spans out of like 10 years of my experience, building websites, designing brands. I kind of understood that there are simpler ways to build these products such that we can be able to make technology more inclusive. And one of the major ways is the fact that when you think about it, mobile phones are like a leveler for most people, right? The same way you're on Instagram, someone as far as in Nigeria can be on Instagram, right? Same platform, both of you can be able to enjoy the same benefits of growing a business online, right? But you find that with things like website design or designing platforms, is still very, excluded for people who have like deep skills, who have like, intense work to do on a computer. And over the years, I find that, Evans, the best legacy you can leave for having so much experience in designing for the web is to build a simple platform that democratizes the ability to create beautiful websites. And so I did some research, and I find that most of the website builders in the market are mostly for desktop-based makers. And I kind of just thought about designing one that would be working flawlessly for anyone who has a mobile phone. So yes, that's Vizi. Vizi is a website builder that works from your phone or any device.
See, that's very, very interesting concept, and other people have recognized it as well. It's already live and has like 13,000 users, even more now.
Well, yes, we had about 13,000 people on our wait list, and since we launched, we actually launched just 4 days ago, and we've seen about 1,000 websites being created. And we kind of see that, people are putting us on Instagram, tagging us on Twitter, telling us this is the first time building a website, and it was really, really easy to use. So that's the joy, because we think about how this can enable more people create a lot faster, even without like major technical experience.
Yeah, you just talked about the feedback you got from the users. How important is that for a success of a project like that?
I think feedback is super important. People that listen to their customers, or brands that listen to their customers, they kind of perform better over time, because who are the best people to give you feedback to improve a product they use? It's actually customers. We built this over the past 1.5 years, and we realized that in as much as you're the maker of a platform, you are not the end user most of the time. You need to put it in the hands of people that are your possible customers and see how they use the platform to see if your assumptions and your experiments are correct. The fact that I remembered when I thought about creating a website builder that works on a mobile phone, a few people someone particularly asked me, are you sure people want to create websites on their phones? And my response was, I've studied the trends in the markets from TikTok, which is mobile first, to Instagram, which is mobile first. And you're seeing people create things like Reels, people using Google Meets to have meetings, and Zoom. And one common denominator in all these platforms is they are very mobile driven. People have meetings on their phone at any time, using Google Meet. And I think that ability to simplify something like that, it would catch on, because there are people who need tools that are really easy to use.
Do you think the future of the web is definitely mobile?
Yes, definitely. There's research that actually shows that 75% of people will use their mobile phones to access the internet by the next 3 years. And, it's happening today. Today in the US, about more than 50% of people access the internet on their mobile phone. In Africa, that number is up to 85%. And because phones are a lot easier to come by compared to a computer. People create almost all the time. They create stories, they create posts on social media. Most of those things are from mobile phones. So we think about how we can create more opportunities and democratize existing opportunities through mobile.
So mobile is definitely the future. What about no code? How do you see the development of the no code movement?
So no code is actually something that I've been super interested over the past few years. I personally do not write code on a daily. My work is mostly in design and product management. However, I find that no code tools help regular people who don't write code, like non-developers, to actually build solutions. I've been using no code tools as far back as MailChimp in 2010. And I kind of just love how those tools are intuitive, easy to use. You can easily just drag and drop. WordPress too was one of the early low-code platforms, and a lot of other platforms like that. Today you have Webflow, you have Bubble. But one of the things I kind of realized is no-code tools needs to also do the extra work to ensure that their tools are not just no-code, but also easy to use. Because find that, most of the no-code tools in the market still require some kind of technical know-how, to be able to use them. One of the easiest no-code tools is actually Notion, and I love what they've done with Notion. You see Notion being used by anyone at any time, just because it's actually flexible and really easy to use. And I think that more platforms should think about what they build in that angle, where it's not just tagged a no-code tool, but it's a no-code tool that is easy to use.
Yeah, very, very valuable insights, very interesting point of view. I want to know more about VZ. What's happening behind the scenes? How big is the team currently?
Right now, we are a team of 4 people. Yeah, a very small team. However, we have lots of behind that 4 people, we have people who support us, people who give us feedback on like a weekly, people who advise us on technology. We find that having that community support is super important in building a startup. today I think the team that actually built out the platform is just three of us. There's me as founder and designer, a front-end engineer, and a back-end engineer. And that's what it took, plus hours and hours of work. But today we kind of feel like over time we get to expand the team as we launch, as we grow, but we'll keep an eye on ensuring that we keep a lean team that are able to execute more for customers.
Yeah, that's very inspiring. It really shows that with a great vision, clear goals, and motivated team, even you don't need so many stuff to actually get the product to launch. And I guess it also is very important, the knowledge that you transfer between each other in the team. Can you talk a bit more about the importance of that?
So yes, I think that small teams perform a lot better, a lot faster, especially when you're building a startup. In a small team, there are clear responsibilities and there's clear ownership. It's easier to drive ownership in a small team compared to a large team. And I think about this carefully because I've built a larger team in the past and I kind of see the areas where it has been ineffective. But while building Visi, the balance is actually very clear. My developers know that Evans leads design, and the responsibilities are so clear that they can even task me with, oh, you need to design this, and I tell them, oh, this is designed now, you need to code this. So you find that everyone kind of just thinks at par. This is not one of those teams where very early on you're setting like categories and hierarchies. All of this is a very flat structure when you're building out. So I'm working closely with my front-end engineer to ensure accessibility is like in place for every design that is being done. I'm working with the back-end engineer to ensure that functionalities are well tested before we push it out there to the customers. So I actually enjoy, the position we are in at the moment and how it has helped us to build a product that works. However, even scaling that team would end up being front end as a team and maybe 2 more people, back end with 2 more people, and slowly just expanding that team, keeping a cap on how many people is truly required to build a product.
I see. I really appreciate you sharing your experience, and I know that's nothing new to you. You're a mentor. How do you approach mentoring, and what are some tips that you usually give your mentees?
So I'm not very public about mentorship that I do, but one thing I realize is when people ask me to mentor them, the first thing I tell them is I'm not very available to mentor them on like a daily, because most people, what they require is someone who holds their hand while they build their dreams. But I find that most of the people that are the best mentors are also busy building their own dreams. So they want to see that you are self-motivated to do what you want to do. And then, for me, I would really tell them, when you hit a roadblock, ask me. If you know that I think you know the answer to this question, just ask me. But if it's you want the motivation on how to build your dreams on a daily, I cannot provide that. I think that a lot of mentees need to be self-motivated to achieve their dreams, because so the questions you want to throw at a mentor maybe is a Google search away. Maybe you want to search on Google first, and then when you get like an ambiguous answer, you have a better curated question to ask that mentor. So that's my approach to it, really. So for some startups, I've supported them with like design, UX knowledge, feedback, early feedback, and it's as simple as let's get on a call and I help them to clarify their ideas and help them to clear like a direction while they then put in the work to actually build their dreams.
I see, and I agree 100%. And while we are already talking about giving advice, do you maybe remember the best advice you've ever heard, and how did you implement it?
I think one of the best advice I've heard is the importance of resilience, and I hold on to resilience a lot, because I feel like a lot of founders need to understand that the road to success has lots of twists and turns. Sometimes it's not what you did wrong. You just need some staying power to be there for a longer time. and that staying power is what is called resilience, really, being able to chart a direction, being able to evolve, being able to pivot an idea when you see that it's not working out as you've thought. I feel a lot of people are so involved with the idea that it's so precious to them, they want to evolve the idea. I think that for most ideas, there are multiple different solutions to that problem. You need to look at the best possible solution, the solution that is feasible, viable, and even scalable. This is how you think about success. This is how you think about how to go about a business. And that's one of the one of the advice I've gotten is actually how to stay resilient, understanding when to be patient and impatient while building a company.
Wow, sharing the wisdom. I love it. I know you're a very busy man, but before we let you go, we always finish our podcast with a series of rapid fire questions. So if you're ready, we'll just start with what's your favorite book?
Favorite book, I think it's The Virgin Way.
All right.
By Branson.
Favorite podcast?
Favorite podcast. How I Built This. I can't remember exactly who runs that. How I Built This. It's called How I Built This.
Got you. Your favorite no-code tool?
Favorite no-code tool, I have to be impartial, is Vizy.co.
Got you. Most used app on your phone?
Most used app on my phone is most likely Notes.
Okay, I can relate.
Yeah, Notes, yeah.
And to finish it off, your favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby is design. I love to design. Apart from design, I love to play Monopoly. I love to go to the beach, but it's mostly design.
Got you. Living your passions out in the career path. Evans, I appreciate you joining us. All the best, and hope we chat again soon.
Thank you so much, Flo. Thank you for having me.